Hi, and once more, welcome to the You Can Be Anything podcast. My name is Solange Che, and I am your host. The last 10 episodes of my podcast have been solo and just audio, but this time around, we've decided to add video and also we'll be talking to some amazing individuals. Today on the podcast, I am honored to have a great friend, Dr. Kenji Obadia. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being here today, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Solange, for inviting me. I'm so honored to be the first guest on your video podcast. I hope that we're gonna make this so informative and interesting to our viewers.
Definitely, thank you so much. So today, Dr. Kenji will be answering some questions, some really pertinent questions about the virus and specifically the vaccine. He will help clear some doubts and myths that have been lingering on our minds since the vaccines got approved. Stay tuned till the end of this episode because at the end of this, he'll be throwing out some wise words. As you all know, and for those of you who are new listeners to my podcast, the main drive of this podcast is about sharing our experiences, hoping that other people will learn from them with the goal that we can find our best versions. Since I have known Dr. Kenji, he has been on this journey looking for the best version of him. And so this is just a part of that journey. And I will bet you that he is in a good place to inspire you. So please stay tuned. Thank you again, Dr. Kenji. But before we get into the interview proper, or let me call it conversation proper, I would like to talk a little bit about Dr. Kenji. Who is Dr. Kenji? So if you're listening to somebody that is helping us answer some questions about the COVID vaccine, we want to know who he is, right? So let me give you a brief profile of who Dr. Kenji Obadia is. Education-wise, Dr. Kenji obtained his PhD in infectious disease from the John A. Burns School of Medicine in Hawaii in the USA, and a master's in public health from the Manchester Metropolitan University in the UK. In 2012, he was awarded the Global Infectious Disease Fellowship by the National Institute of Health USA for 5 years. Research-wise, Dr. Kenji's research focuses on a novel laboratory test development for infectious diseases. Dr. worked on developing a subunit vaccine for Ebola virus and the Zika virus. Today, he works at Stanford Medicine, where he oversees the scientific, the technical, and operation aspects of infectious disease testing. Dr. Kenji manages a virology lab, the emerging infectious disease lab, the microbiology, and the special chemistry labs at Stanford Hospital and Stanford University. Oh my God, somebody told me to catch my breath. What a profile. Thank you so much, Doctor. With all the work you're doing, I'm so grateful that you were able to cut out this time to talk to my audience. Thank you once more. So
You're most
before we go
welcome.
on, sure, my pleasure. So as we go on with this, one of the things I would like to start with is give you a chance to talk to your audience, talk to us about how you have been involved in the COVID-19 pandemic since it started till date.
Well, thank you so much, Solange. I thought you were introducing a different person. I'm so honored to be here. As you rightly said, I manage the testing aspects of COVID. So I manage the entire operations of COVID testing. So far, we've been able to test over 500 to 600 COVID samples, and that has been under my watch. There are several workflows that I have to manage, the technical aspects too, and the personnel. As you know, prompt and accurate diagnosis is very important for us to slow down the pandemic. Because if you know that somebody is positive for COVID, you can isolate that person and you prevent the person from transmitting the disease to another person. I'm usually in the hospital or in the lab about 12 hours a day just to manage all these operations. And even when I come back home, I continue working. I'm always on call. I have my phone with me, just like you have your watch. And even at night, I sleep with it by my pillow because I manage a 24-hour operation. And that's my life, even on the weekends, I continue to manage that operations. And one thing that we've been able to do is we're able to build a new lab. We call it the Emerging Infectious Disease Lab to do COVID testing. And that was done within 30 days. That is record time. Normally, it would take like 1 year to be able to build such a lab. And I had to oversee, all of that. And through that new lab, we're able to increase our capacity from 2,000 COVID tests per day to about 6,000 COVID tests per day. So that's how I've been involved in the pandemic, and I know recently you've been hearing about the variants and all the like. So I was able to help, set up a genomic surveillance program here at Stanford, where we test all the positive samples that we receive at Stanford for the variants. So that's how I've been involved in the pandemic. It's been some kind of a roller coaster. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
it's been stressful. I tell you, but it's so fulfilling, right? When I look back as to the number of people that we've been able to test and the impact that we've had in the life of the pandemic, I feel very fulfilled.
Oh, wow. Man, tell me about this. Like, you stuck of building a lab in 30 days. Something that you normally do for a year. Oh, wow. That is amazing. Like, all right. We appreciate what you do, of course.
Yeah,
And
it's a great teamwork. I don't want to take credit for all of that. It's a great teamwork.
yeah, awesome. That's great. Yeah, teamwork is what we hear every day, right? We go to work, everything is about being
Yes.
in a team, working in a team. And again, there is something. So when I spoke to Dr. Kenji before this, I wanted him to be able to. I tried to tell him not to be too modest when he talks about himself because I know he's that kind of a person. There is a lot more. So he was also, his work caught attention, like the work he does with his team, caught the attention of the ABC News. And if you have not watched that video, hey, I'm going to add it to the link. Please go and see what he does. You'll be surprised to see that he is not only a great scientist. No, that's not all he does. He doesn't only manage those labs. He is also somebody that likes to sing to worship his creator. He is also an artist, so you want to check that video out. I'm going to add it to the link and see the other side of him. You'll be amazed. So, and again, we're talking about this vaccine, and what do you, with all what he's saying, will you say that it is safe to take the vaccine? Or will you say that it's okay for us to protect ourselves and stay away from any risk of getting infected? Or will you say that the vaccine is safe? Just if you can help clear that for us a little bit.
So what I would tell the audience is that any vaccine that is approved by the FDA, be it under emergency use, undergoes vigorous safety check. You don't just come out with a vaccine and you begin to administer it to people. Vaccines undergo what is called clinical trial. You have what is called phase one, phase two, phase three, and also you have the post-market surveillance. So they don't just bring products like that to humans. And throughout the clinical trial, they are trying to assess the vaccine first for safety, then next for the efficacy of the vaccine. So before FDA gives its approval, FDA has reviewed the data, that the researchers has presented, and what FDA focuses so much on is the safety to make sure that the vaccine is safe before they can go on to give their approval. And one thing you realize is that even after a vaccine has been approved, CDC and FDA, they still continue to monitor safety. If you realize lately, or if you heard lately on the news, the Pfizer vaccine, oh, sorry, the Johnson and Johnson vaccine was recently suspended because of side effects of blood clots that were recorded in some women. So that's just to tell you that, the regulatory agencies, the CDC and the FDA, they take the safety of the population so much into consideration. So safety always comes first. So the vaccines that have been approved are safe. Of course, vaccines always have what are called side effects. Most people, suffer from soreness of the arm. You have
Yeah.
some malaise, some body aches, especially when you take the second dose. That just tells you that, hey, your immune system is at work, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, not only vaccine, not only COVID vaccine, even the medications that you take. be it an antibiotic, be an anti-malaria medication, they all have side effects. But what FDA wants to see is does the benefit outweigh the risk, right? Before they go on to do any approval.
Oh, okay. At least that puts us in a good place, right? When we hear people say, hey, for those who have not been vaccinated yet, it is safe, so we don't have to worry about it. And again, the next thing I would like for you to clarify for us is, okay, for those who haven't been vaccinated yet, is there, do you have a favorite? Is there, among all of these vaccines that we have, the Johnson and Johnson, the Moderna, the Pfizer, all what we have, do you have a favorite? Is there one that you're going to say, hey, if you have a chance, take this instead of that? Will you be able to see anything like that?
I would say the favorite vaccine is the one that is available to you first,
Okay.
right? That's
Okay.
what I would say. That's the favorite
Okay.
vaccine. The one that's available to you first. You want to get vaccinated as soon as possible. You don't want to wait that, hey, I want to wait for Pfizer to be available, or I want to wait for Johnson and Johnson to be available. No. Yeah, time is money. We need people to be vaccinated as soon as possible. The earlier people are vaccinated and the more people are vaccinated, the faster we can get out of this pandemic. So what I would say is that whatever is available, at your locality, please go for it.
Oh, great. You should tell people like me because when I heard of the different vaccines and how they are being administered, I always said, hey, if when it comes to me, I want to take the one that is just a single dose. I don't want the double. So if I were to pick, I'll definitely be going with the J&J because it is a single dose vaccine. I don't have to go twice. So,
Of course,
yeah.
of course, I will agree with you. Logistically, you just want to get one shot and you leave, right? So if you
Yes.
have the J&J and you have the Pfizer available to you at that point,
Hmm.
at least you cannot choose from one thing, right? You can
Oh,
choose when you
yeah.
have two things available to you,
That's
right?
right.
But
Sure.
should
Yeah.
in case you have just the Pfizer available, go for it, right? If you have
Yeah.
the J&J, go for it. One thing you understand is that if you look at the efficacy of the vaccine, they are almost the same in terms of efficacy. They're all about
Oh.
95% in terms of
Oh.
the efficacy. Yeah, so if the
Oh.
efficacy was so wide, like maybe you have one that is 95% and another one that is 50%, then we can
Oh.
start saying that, hey, probably, go for this. But what I would say is whatever is available to you first, please go for that.
All right, thank you. So go get vaccinated as soon as it gets to you. Getting to me soon, so I cannot wait. After this, I'll definitely book my appointment. So, yes, that's right. And now that we're talking about the vaccination and going to get vaccinated, is there anybody that shouldn't be vaccinated? Is there
I
anyone that
think
is not viable?
for now, there is no COVID-19 vaccine that has been approved for children, those less than 16 years old. I know there have been submissions to the FDA, and I'm hopeful that, very soon we'll get one that will be approved for children. So I would say that's the group, that don't yet have a vaccine in their category. For me, I'm data driven. I'm a scientist, so I want to go based on the data. So for now, the clinical trials I know that have been concluded. Some of the pharmaceutical companies have concluded the clinical trial, and we are now waiting for FDA approval.
Oh, okay, that's good. And yes, we all advise people. We're just talking like, hey, go get vaccinated. People we see on Facebook every day. People put their pictures. I got vaccinated, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. So, how long? So, for those who have gotten vaccinated already, how long can this vaccine protect these vaccinated people from the virus? How long can that last?
I want to say that we are still learning a lot. There are still a lot of unknowns when it comes to COVID in general, and also when it comes to the vaccine. We don't know how long protection is going to last. But from the clinical trials that were conducted, we know that it should last at least 3 months because that was the duration of the study. It could be longer than that. Studies are still going on. That will probably tell us, the duration of protection. So for now, we cannot say definitively how long the vaccine is going to protect us.
Okay, so which means that subsequently it might be possible that people might have to take the vaccine like once or twice every year in order if COVID, if the virus doesn't disappear completely. Is
We
there
may,
possibility? May
yeah,
oh,
we may.
okay.
There is that possibility. Same as there's still a possibility that we may not. It just depends
Oh,
on the
okay.
duration of how long the immunity is going to last. As you
Okay.
know, once you get the vaccine, you need to be studying people prospectively, right? You cannot just predict, no matter how you use the computer, no matter which modeling you come out with. Real world data is always the
Artificial
most important.
intelligence.
I know artificial intelligence. It has really
Let's
helped
use
us. That's true.
AI.
Yeah, it has helped us, but
Yes.
something like vaccine and efficacy, real world data is always the best.
Yeah, okay. That's awesome. And again, has there been any records? I know that a couple, I don't want to get my numbers wrong, but I know for sure that a lot of people have been vaccinated already, especially like in the US. Is there any record of someone who has been fully vaccinated? So the person has taken both doses, right? Or maybe the single dose of the J&J, and the person still contracted the virus. Have people heard of any of such situations?
Yeah, before I answer your question, I'll just give you some real world data. I mean, in Israel, we've seen real world data. If you only take one dose of the vaccine, which requires two doses, it only protects 50% of the people. So it shows that, there's a probability that some people might become infected if you only take one of the doses. But if you take both shots, if you look at the efficacy is 95%. It's the same as I always tell my family members. 95% means that there is a small percentage of fully vaccinated people that can still, get COVID. This one will always refer to them as vaccine breakthrough cases. It's not only peculiar to COVID vaccine. If you look at something like the BCG vaccine that you take for tuberculosis, it's only
Yeah.
45% efficacious. So you still have a majority of people that will still contract TB.
Good.
But the good thing is that if you are fully vaccinated and you become infected with COVID, you probably not be hospitalized. So these vaccines have been shown to protect people from hospitalization 100%. So protect you from hospitalization and protect you from death. And so I don't want people to hesitate taking the vaccine that hey, I may be in that small proportion of people that may not be protected. Even if you get infected, you will not suffer from severe disease and you will not die. So you see that the risks of not getting vaccinated is way high as compared to getting the vaccine.
Yeah, of course. Who wants to die? So you better get vaccinated. That's right. And again, there's been all the variant discussions going on, variants popping in from here and there. So how safe are these people who have been vaccinated? Because so if somebody has been fully vaccinated, are they safe from all the other variants that are now popping up, or how are you people handling that?
The current data that we have shows that the vaccines should be able to protect us against the new variants. That's the good news. It should be
Okay.
able to protect us from severe disease and hospitalization as a result of the new variants. Because studies have showed that the vaccines trigger a robust immune response that should be able to help protect us against these variants. I know in the past there was some clinical trial in South Africa. That is real world data with the AstraZeneca vaccine that did not perform very well in a certain group of people. That was just a small subset of individuals. But still, even though the efficacy was low, none of these study participants suffered from severe disease or hospitalized that required hospitalization or death. So that's the good news. But I do know that Pfizer and Moderna they are working on a third booster dose, which should target the variants. So probably in the near future, we may get a booster dose or we may not get a booster dose. As you know, the virus continues to mutate. That's what
Oh
I
yeah.
tell people. As long as there is transmission, the virus will mutate.
Indeed.
And we don't know what is going to pop up tomorrow. We may have a variant, that the antibodies that were produced no longer, effective against that variant.
Them.
And the best way to slow down this mutation is for everybody to get vaccinated, so we don't have infection, we don't have the virus spreading, and all the like. Yeah, so I'm optimistic, I'm confident, with the vaccines that we have that is still capable, protecting us from the variants. Probably not really from infection. As I said, you can get infected, but you will not suffer from severe disease that requires hospitalization or death. But as I said,
Okay.
this is it is evolving. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you today is current knowledge that I have. Tomorrow things may
Yeah.
change.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, so the more people get vaccinated, the more you'll be able to, the more the mutation can be controlled, and most probably no more popping up of new variants, hopefully, because those variants are scary. And
Yes,
also,
there are.
mhm, yeah, I think those variants are scary because the moment you hear that a new variant pop up, you hear of like the number of deaths just escalate, and I'm like, okay, the new variant. So those who are vaccinated now, so you still have to be very careful because if not, you can't even travel to go to other places. Let's say like go out of the country because you're not particularly sure of what variant is in that country you're going to, right? So it's still the variant thing is a little bit scary. Yeah.
Yes, but what I will say, Solange, I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
permit me, is that
Oh, sure.
let's not focus so much on the variants, right? The virus is doing its own job, right? Let's do our own job. Our own job is to
Yeah.
get vaccinated, the
It's
general population. Let's get vaccinated, and the scientists should get to work. Um, Variants popping up is not new to us in the scientific world. As you know, you receive the flu shot every year. So
yeah.
science has evolved in such a way that if we have a new variant that pop up, we can immediately update the vaccine in such a way that it can take care of the variant. So what I would tell the general population is, please do your own due diligence. Do your own duty by taking the vaccine. And the scientists should be there worrying about the variants, and how to update the vaccines and all the like.
Okay. Advice taken to my heart. I have taken your advice. I'll stop worrying about the variants and get
Yeah, don't.
vaccinated as
Yes,
soon
get
as
vaccinated
I
first.
gets to me.
Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely. Yeah. So okay. So I haven't been called yet to take a vaccine. I know my doctor's office called me, so I'm scheduled to take it, and I am looking. I'm one of those people that was. I've done some research on it, and it was a little scary, and that's why I said okay. I have listened to Doctor Talk on other platforms, like in our community group, about the vaccine, and I was like, okay, if these people that do this work, this is my person. If he is sitting there to tell me that, hey, go get vaccinated, you don't have to worry about anything, then why not? So yes, I said yes to my doctor's office, and I will be getting vaccinated. And so,
Great,
what about
great.
those
And
people?
when you get vaccinated, you are my friend. Let me know when you get vaccinated. I can buy some pizza for you, just as a sign
Yay!
of appreciation.
Excited about it. I'll let you know. You know that I know how to follow people on that, right? I'll be on
Oh,
your
sure,
back
I
for
know.
that.
I trust you on that.
Right. Yeah. So, what about these people who have not gotten vaccinated, right? What's the opportunity cost of not getting vaccinated?
Well, if you are vaccinated, you are protected from COVID. That's one thing. Even if you are vaccinated and you fall within that small percentage of people that don't receive full protection, I mean, you still be protected from severe disease, right? You won't get severe disease and you will not die. So if you look at the opportunity cost, of you getting severe COVID, it's not fun being on ventilators or being on oxygen, and of course, we don't want people to die, right? So I would advise people, if you weigh the risks and benefit, you see that the benefit outweighs the risks so much. So please get vaccinated.
Okay. Noted. Yeah, okay. And again, one of the reasons people don't get vaccinated, why people don't are not very pushful, people are not very some people are not very excited about it, is as a result of the myths, right, that are surrounding this vaccination thing. There's different kinds of myths out there about people turning into zombies and that people's DNA is being altered and a chip being inserted into us. Of course, if that is done without your knowledge, that's different. But when you know that that is something that is being done, that is scaring people away. What do you have to say about all of these COVID vaccine myths?
Well, I think to begin with, let me take a stab on myself a little bit. We scientists, I think, we failed so much in trying to educate the people. I'm not sure where that failure came from, and and it probably gets room for, anti-vaccine talks and all the like. The vaccine will not change you to a zombie. We're one of the first people to get the vaccine. Solange, do I look like a zombie? I think you've known me
You're
for
not a
more than.
zombie doctor.
Okay, all right, all right. I just wanted to be sure. You've known me for more than 15 years or so. I haven't changed, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, just to tell you that, the vaccine will not change, it will not transform you into a zombie. This vaccine doesn't go and change your DNA, for you to become a different kind of person. No, those are just side talks. It doesn't do that. And there is no chip that is inserted into you. I've also heard this that, oh, they're inserting chip to people so that they can monitor them, especially my friends in Cameroon, as well. There is something for the messenger RNA vaccine. RNA is very fragile. Trust me, if you take RNA and you spit on it, it's going to degrade. So scientists have been looking for the best way. How do you deliver that RNA to the cell in such a way that it doesn't degrade? So scientists figured out that you could package it in what is called lipid nanoparticles. I'm sure that's where people got confused. All right, yeah, nanoparticle is just a lipid, right? So you take the messenger RNA, you package it in that lipid in such a way that it can be delivered, onto the cells. So it's not a chip, all right. All it just does is a delivery mechanism that gets to the cell, and the messenger RNA is then translated to proteins, that goes now and triggers this immune response. So there is no chip that is inserted into your body. I was just talking to one of my friends in Cameroon that, hey, if they really want to, send a chip into your body, I think one of the easiest way could have been just to go and buy Brazzaville do Cameroon, and just put the chips in all of export, territory export, top anana, which was my favorite drink in Cameroon. Why would someone, go through all the stress, to put it through a vaccine, So I mean, I'm just giving, all these examples just to
yeah,
let people know that, hey, all those things are side talks, you can always, ask questions, to your friends who are in the medical field, if you have any doubt. And of course, there are several resources that you can always go to. The World Health Organization, the Center for Disease and Control. They also have very good resources and very good answers to some of those common questions.
oh, great. I know that when the first time I heard about this chip insertion into the human body, one of my elder sisters, who is also an essential worker, she's a nurse, and so one of those first people, one of those who got vaccinated. So she was like, if you really think that if they want to track you down, they're going to use a vaccine. If they wanted to track you down just with your phone, they will know where and
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. So that is just, so she's one of the people that also debunked that chip idea of a vaccine. So I was like, okay, maybe you're saying that because you're a nurse. But yes, thank you so much for clarifying this, Doc. It's really something that people talk with a lot of passion, and being able to hear experts talk about it like this, it's very, very useful. And yes, we are going to get vaccinated, and we'll get our one dose J&J, or probably go ahead and take all the two doses of the other vaccines. Do we still need to go around wearing masks when we've been vaccinated? Is there use for that?
That's a very good question. Uh, One thing you realize is that when you get the shot, it doesn't mean that you are protected immediately, right? Understand for something like Pfizer, you need two doses. So it's only after the second dose that you can have full protection. And the consensus is that 2 weeks post vaccination, that is when the immune system builds up. Understand that the immune system takes time to build, right, in such a way that it can offer that protection. So that's why you've seen people that, hey, who say, oh, I got the vaccine last week, but now I'm infected with COVID. Yeah, that happens because it takes time for your immune system to build, right? So it doesn't mean that you take the vaccine today and you're protected today. It doesn't mean that you take the vaccine today and you're protected tomorrow. It doesn't mean that you take one dose of a vaccine that requires two doses and you're protected immediately. No, it takes time for the immune system to build. So that's why it's still recommended, to wear your mask and all those things. But then consider that you've taken, the two doses of the vaccine. right? As I said, the efficacy of the vaccine is not 100%. So you still have a small proportion of people that will still be infected with COVID. But the good thing is that these people will not suffer from severe disease, right? They will not be hospitalized and they will not die. From the data that we have, things may change. As I said, it's an evolving situation.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So, but now, if you look at CDC is beginning to relax the guidelines, right? Those that have been fully vaccinated, you can now sit together in your backyard and you have a barbecue and all the like without mask, right? So if you are fully vaccinated, Solange, I'm waiting for you to be fully vaccinated. Once you are done, then we can do some barbecue together. Yeah. So you see that some of
Yes.
this, yeah, some of these restrictions, I'll be getting, are getting loosened up.
Yeah, that's right. And again, you just by answering that question, you went ahead and you kind of tackled what I was going to talk to you about next. Like, okay, for those who have been fully vaccinated, can they still transmit it? So yes, I am not vaccinated, right? You are. If I'm in contact with you and like I might be virus free, is it possible that you have that virus in you and you still transmit it to me? Like I don't know if you understand my question. Like, can vaccinated people still transmit the virus? Like, is that possible? Which is kind of
Yes.
related to the mask thing. Yeah.
Yes, there's a potential that fully vaccinated people can still transmit the virus. But one thing you realize is that the risk of transmission, should be low.
It's low. Okay.
I mean, looking at other viral diseases, when the viral load, it always goes to the viral load. When the viral load is high, the risk of transmitting is also high. When the viral load is low, the risk of transmitting is also low. We've learned from HIV, you have discordant couples. One is HIV positive and another one is HIV negative. But the HIV positive person has been on medication in such a way that the viral load has been suppressed, that they can go on with their lives normally and the other person is not infected. Yeah, so there's still that probability that people that have been vaccinated can still potentially transmit the virus. I know there's still a lot of studies that's going on regarding this particular aspect of transmission. We don't yet have full real world data. I know some of my friends are doing some studies to see what are the potentials of people that have been fully vaccinated to transmit the virus.
You can do it. Oh, okay. That would be interesting to know. So we finally know that at the end of this, all of the vaccines and stuff, we are safe from this monster of a vaccine. And what's your research showing you? Like, what percentage of people need to be vaccinated in order to eliminate this virus? Like, do you have numbers? Like, okay, if this percentage of the population gets vaccinated, then probably mutation can stop and the virus will be gone. Are there numbers that you can put to that?
Well, there is something called herd immunity. I know it's been on the TV over and over that when you vaccinate a certain percentage of the population, the rest of the people that have been unvaccinated are protected indirectly. And the general consensus has always been 60 to 70% of the population. That if you are able to vaccinate about 60 to 70% of the population, the rest should be protected. Solange, I want to say that it's not only vaccination. People too that have been infected by COVID, all right, can also fall within this group because once you've been
Oh,
infected, you've also mounted some kind of immune response, right? So if you have 60% of the population that are gaining immunity either through vaccination or past exposure to the virus, we can reach some kind of herd immunity. But then it will be difficult for us to reach herd immunity if people are hesitant to take the vaccine. There's a growing number of people or the growing population falling under vaccine hesitancy and all the like. And also, if we don't have vaccine for children, it will be difficult for us to reach that hurts immunity as well. So there's still that challenge. And what I keep saying is that, hey guys, let's get vaccinated. The more we get vaccinated, the more, we can offer some kind of protection too, not only to yourself, but also to the general population. It's very, very unlikely that you will have everybody that's going to get the vaccine. That's not practically feasible, right? Let's be
right.
realistic. But then the more people that get the vaccine, all right, the lesser the likelihood that transmission will occur. and the lesser the likelihood that the virus will continue to mutate. Because as I said,
Okay.
if you are able to break transmission, you're also able to break the replication of the virus, and you can also stop it from mutating.
Oh, great. That's awesome. And considering that we just spoke about this chip thing and how it's happening and moving a little bit away from where we are now, news from our home country Cameroon stipulates that more and more people are dying from this, and there is still also a very high level of denial, and surprisingly among like really young vibrant youth. And so I came across a post on Facebook where a young Cameroonian guy was arguing so bitterly and so strongly that the COVID vaccine is it's a scam, and that it is something that is being used by the Western world to. And I'm not sure what kind of information they're looking at, but I want to see if you have any piece of advice to give to our families and friends that are back home. To if again, it is said that when there is news outside, there's always a high probability that your people will listen to one of theirs. So this is me putting you in the spotlight. Please talk to our families and friends back home about COVID being real.
I want to let people know that anybody can stand up and make any video or write anything and put it over the internet. We should get our information from credible sources. And the best way to be vaccinated against misinformation is for you to get the correct information, right? We also need to vaccinate ourselves against misinformation. I know I've been on WhatsApp group, where somebody just sends a message and everybody is spreading it. There was one at that time I was in Cameroon. They were like, "Hey, cosmic rays are going to, appear this night. Everybody, you should turn off your phone." Everybody was turning off the phone.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes, I
seriously,
know
what does
that.
cosmic rays have to do with my cell phone?
Yes.
And all those things. So when somebody sends you a message, do your due diligence. Ask yourself, who is sending out this message, right? Is this somebody in the scientific world? Is this a credible source that I'm getting my message from? COVID is real. That's what I'll tell people. We've seen it here. We've seen patients die. In Cameroon, I've lost friends. My friends have lost their dad. They have lost their brothers, their sisters. It is real. What I would tell, people in the Cameroon or wherever is continue to practice, your social distancing,
Wear
put
your
on your mask,
mask.
and take the vaccine. Now we have the vaccine in Cameroon, please go get your vaccine, get vaccinated. That's one of the best way that we can get out of this pandemic. And please always verify whatever information is sent to you before deciding if you want to believe it or not. Of course,
Don't just
I
share.
cannot
People
choose what
share.
you believe or not, right?
Yes.
Yes, I cannot choose what you believe or not. But please, when somebody sends something to you on WhatsApp or whatever, look at it and see if it really makes sense to you, before sharing. Or even if it comes to you, first of all, ask yourself, where is this information coming from?
Yeah. The easiest thing we do is share. I share too sometimes. So it's always like, oh, is this true? I share. So, yeah. So if we can also share that, yes, get vaccinated, wear your mask, let's do sharing in this part of life too. That would be awesome. So, this has been a really great talk about the COVID vaccine, and I would not lie to you. Talking to Dr. Kenji today, I might probably call my doctor's office and find out if my slot isn't opened yet, because it just gives me that assurance that, okay, he took it, he's my friend, my sisters have taken it. So, how different am I? How special am I? So, just go get yourself vaccinated too so that you can mingle with other people and let's get life back to normal, right? It is already a great thing that this vaccine, they were able to come up with a vaccine this fast. It is awesome. This is not something that I know people have questioned how long it took for the vaccine to be produced. And again, I am in the field of I do some AI, and I will bet you that AI works magic. You cannot compare the procedure that was used, let's say 10 to 20 years ago, to do something with the same procedure today. AI works magic. And I don't know how these vaccines are produced, but I have seen work that has been automated today when I do my work as a Salesforce consultant. And I'm like, oh wow, this is something that I bet if I had this when I was doing like my bachelor's degree, life would be a lot easy for me. So when it comes to that, I do not question it because I know how much artificial intelligence has actually improved the world. So if you're listening to
Well,
our, if you're
Solange,
listening, oh
if I
yes,
can
go ahead.
piggyback if I can piggyback on that, I
Definitely,
always
yeah,
tell people when I was in high school, in our computer lab, I think it was, I don't know whether it's a Pentium one we had at that time or what. I think Mr. Dama can better speak to that.
yeah.
If you want at that time, if you wanted to play a video, you click on play, then you go to the refectory, you eat dinner, come back, and the video is still loading to play, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
now I can stream an entire movie online.
yes.
I click on it and it goes. Look, as technology advances, science also advances. There are things that we used to take 5 years to do that we can now do it in 10 hours, right? So technology has evolved. I know there have been a lot of questions too, regarding the vaccine, how long it took, most of these technologies have been there, right? Most of the knowledge has been there. We just needed the right technology for us to expedite it.
To push it. Yeah, awesome. And I'm happy that you played that too because I've heard that in a couple of places. Like when I was doing the research about what kind of doubts people have about this. So yes, once more, if this is your first time listening to my podcast, and to everyone, this will be your first time actually seeing me talking on video because normally I talk behind my mic because I've always imagined that I am not a video person. So, one thing I want you to know that while we continue to respect the CDC guidelines and also be able to get vaccinated as doctors advise, there is also need for us to talk about self-improvement and personal growth. Those are the things that before COVID, oh no, I actually started my podcast during the COVID. It was time for me. I felt the need to use my experiences and the challenges I've gone through in life to inspire other people because I have been inspired as well. So I use this as a platform where I can talk to people about what I have gone through, what I have experienced, share my joys, share my cries. It's been up to 5 years since you became Dr. Kenji, right? Has it been?
Yes, about that.
Yes. Yes, about 5 years. And yeah, okay. Oh
Mhm.
wow, time flies. And to
Yeah, it
think that
does.
we were actually doing our PhDs together, but I ran off and not doing the same subject. We were all enrolled in a PhD program together, but I couldn't make it. Now I'm calling him doctor, and he still calls me Solange. that that's fine. That's by the way. But I'm happy where I am today, right? And I'm happy that he is doing the great job he's doing today. And I have watched you for these past 5 years since you left Hawaii and moved to California. I have seen you change. I know that you have worked with other places. You have taken exams. You have improved. You have built your career. That's what I'm going to. I have seen you I have seen you move from working as a scientist in a lab somewhere in California, moving into Stanford and becoming a manager of all these many virology, microbiology, all those names that I didn't even want to hear when I was in school. And is there a way, can you please share with our listeners what motivates you? What is your drive? What makes you wake up and just do all these awesome things that you're doing?
Well, Solange, to begin with, I know you were calling me all titles. It's not the title that does the job. And it's not by having the doctor in front of your name that you can create an impact.
I
What
love
you are
that
doing
thing.
right now is so much impact that you are doing. Uh, Information is very important. As I always say, if you are not informed, you are deformed. So at our own little corners, we continue to create our own impacts, right? Be it somebody in the lab, be it a medical doctor, be it the cab driver, because if my car is having an issue and there's no cab for me to take, how do I get to work? Be it the
Right.
janitor, all right, the lab needs to be clean. If it's not clean, you cannot work well in a cluttered environment. So in
Oh,
our own area, we need to create that impact. You're asking me what drives my motivation. For me, it's just one thing, creating an impact in the lives of others. That's what drives my motivation. It's not all about me. If it was all about me, I would not be putting in 12 to 15 hours every day to
that's
work on
right.
this. So when I wake up, I ask myself, what impact have I done to the life of anybody? It could be in the life of the patients, that come to the hospital. It could be just in the life of a friend, just waking up and calling somebody and just checking on that person. That's very, very important. That person might be going through some stress, and just that call alone can just relieve that person from that stress. So for me, what drives my motivation is the impact, that I can have in the lives of people and in the life of the world in general.
Wow. Awesome. Impact, again, you use a very good word. Impact, that is what it is. But again, there is something, most people, or some people have the tendency to just sit and say, oh, wow, he's doing great. Is this, can you talk about this? Has this been an easy journey for you? Has it been all sugar? Has it been all, hey, you finish your PhD, you got a job, you got into Stanford, you're doing this, and life goes on? Has this been an easy journey for you?
Of course not. I was not born with a silver spoon, Solange. You know that we grew up together in Cameroon. I had to do all those things too. My dad was a minister. May he rest in peace. We struggled. We had to wake up in the morning, go to the bush and carry water. We had to wake up in the morning, Charles and myself with Dan, we go sell puff puff before going to school, before going to primary school. That's how we're able to support our mom. That's how we're able to support our dad. We struggled. It was not easy. But one thing kept me going. I knew where I was coming from. I knew I was not coming from a wealthy family. I had to work hard. All through my life, I've been working hard. From primary school to when I got into secondary school, I had to be focused.
You
I'm
were
like,
an
it's all
intelligent
about
young
my
man.
studies.
You
Well,
you
I would say
you've
that was hard
always
work.
been an intelligent young man. Always.
That's hard work. I had to stay in the dorm. I had to go read and all those things. Even when I finished and I went to the university, it was not easy to. It was all hard work. 4 years there at the Faculty of Health Sciences. We had to study. We could not go for all the dance that they used to have in the amphis. When my other colleagues from GB and all the like, they are having their nights. We are there studying. We have lecturers that have to come from Q's. We are there even on Saturday. We don't even have time to cook. We don't have time to even go to Limbe. We don't even have time to even go to the club or whatever. No fun at all. It was all hard work. You know,
Yeah.
Finishing from there, right? Started working to, in Bamenda, then in St. Louis and all the like. It was still hard work. I had to push myself. I took my US board exam while I was in Cameroon, just to tell you how I pushed myself. I ordered the
Wow.
books from the US. I studied for it. So even before coming to the US, I was already board certified. I already took my board
Wow.
exam. So one thing, that I always tell people is at times you need to fight for yourself. You don't just have to sit and you think that everything is going to come to you. And it is possible, right? I didn't have any godfather or, all those things and all that. Like I had to push.
Right.
Even when all of this had happened and I even did my master's and all the like, to proceed with my PhD, I didn't have money. My dad did not have money. When
Oh
ABC News
no.
interviewed me, I told them my dad did not even have a credit card to even say he will pay for my admission fee in any university in the US. But I kept fighting and I saw an opportunity. A friend sent it to me. It was a scholarship opportunity. I applied for it and I got it. At times you can send people this link, oh, there's this scholarship opportunity, and another person just throws it in the basket.
Yeah.
What's this, right? But I went
That's
through it.
right.
I applied for, for the scholarship opportunity. I got it. Even when I got there in Hawaii, seriously, Solange, I think there are some people that don't live in Hawaii that have been to Hawaii that they can take me to Hawaii and show me places. Reason being that when I was doing my PhD, I was not there for fun, right? My
Yeah.
friend was asking me, how do you study in Hawaii? I was not there for fun. I was there to study. I was there to finish my study in record time and start working. So I had two choices when I was in Hawaii:
Yeah.
catch fun and prolong my PhD study, or focus on my PhD study, finish it within a short period of time, then catch fun later. And
Yeah.
I chose the
I
later, and it worked so well for
okay.
me.
All right. We're still
And
waiting for that later
even
that you're
after,
gonna catch fun. Because
come on, I'm
you're
catching
still
fun. Yeah, and no, no,
yeah.
come on. I mean, it depends on what you call fun, right? It
Fun.
depends on what you call
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
This morning I went
Yes.
hiking, right? I went hiking for
Oh,
like
that's
1 hour.
nice.
That was so much fun, and
Great.
it was relieving to me. Last weekend I was in Hollister for
Yes.
for the birthday of one of my moms there, right? So even when
Yes. That is
I
fun.
joined Illumina, even when I joined Illumina as a senior scientist, I worked very hard.
Yeah.
That within one and a half year, I was made lead scientist.
Yeah. You were
To start a
promoted. I
brand new
remember
lab there.
that. I
Yeah, so
remember.
that was all hard work, all right. And
Yeah.
now when I was made lead scientist, after some time now, I got contacted by some recruiters on behalf of Stanford. Then, it took about 6 months to and fro. Then I finally joined. When I joined Stanford at the heart of COVID. I didn't have any time for somebody to onboard me or teach me something. I had to figure out a lot of things by myself. I was thrown in the fire. I had
Oh
to
wow.
start working from day one until now. I've been working. Being in Stanford, after 6 months, they promoted me. I don't have, any godfather, as we always say in Cameroon or what. It
Yeah.
was just hard work. I always tell people
Yes.
hard work plus God, because I'm a firm believer. I always say hard work
Yeah.
plus God, will always take you where you want to
That's
go.
right. Definitely. Thank you so much, Dr. Kenji, for sharing this because, again, I always like to throw it out there that we cannot just sit and hope that things will meet us where we are. We always have to go out and find your version of you. In my last episode, I talked about growing up, like what I wanted to be. I've wanted to be so many things in this life that what I am today is not even anything I thought I was ever going to be. Maybe for someone like you, you're following the same line of like you've always been a scientist and today you are a great scientist. For me, I don't even know. I have been many things in my life, but what am I looking for? Fulfillment and that opportunity to be able to inspire you listening to me. That opportunity to be able to make an impact on other people's lives. Whatever I have to do, so long as it makes me feel happy, I'm going to do it. And this is one of the reasons we're here. And this is one of the reasons I brought Dr. Kenji to talk to us about COVID, because I know that it is one thing that is impacting our society. I appreciate your time. You do not even know how happy I am that you made the time to be here. And I bet you, just let's close this up because we can be here for the next hour. Go ahead. Is there any last words? Are there any last words you have for my listeners? And we can say bye.
Well, just to let everyone know that for us to get out of this pandemic, we need to work together. All right. We need to get the vaccine. We need to continue to practice our social distancing, put on the mask and all the like. Just looking forward to that day. I know it's not very long from now where we're gonna get our lives back. But for us to be able to get our lives back, we need to work towards it. Of course, Solange, you always, I mean, you said in your podcast that we need to work for what we want to become. Yeah, as a scientist, I think I'm doing great. But is that all what I want in life? Of course not. I'm looking forward to being a husband someday, right? So, and there's somebody who is already a husband and who may be looking at this
Yes.
as if it's something small. But for me,
Yes.
that's something so big. That day that I will have that title of being somebody's husband, I will say I've had another level of fulfillment.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. So as you can, that just means that there is no ring on his finger. So you better be praying he comes your way. But I thank you so much, Dr. Kenji. I appreciate your time. And once more, my dear listeners, I am happy you were able to make it with us today. Please share this video, be able to subscribe to the website. I'm going to be talking to more amazing individuals who will come in here and inspire you, who will come in here and share their stories. You're never too sure what you can pick out from an individual story that could change your life. So please stay tuned and keep listening to the You Can Be Anything podcast. I appreciate you, and please keep being good to each other. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.